was the kind of day that made you wonder if the sky knew a secret it refused to share. The clouds hung low, heavy with an unshed rain, casting a foreboding shadow over Starlight Academy. Bisola's heart raced as her father's car turned into the spiraling campus gates. This was her first term at the prestigious boarding school, and the weight of expectation pressed on her shoulders. As they drove past lush mango trees and manicured lawns, she caught sight of groups of students laughing, backpacks slung casually over their shoulders. Yet, there was something about the towering brick structure of the main building that seemed to whisper of things hidden in shadows. "Remember why you are here, Bisola," her father said, breaking her thoughts. His voice carried the sternness of a man who believed in discipline. "This school has produced governors, senators, and even business moguls. Keep your head high and focus on your studies." Bisola nodded, swallowing her apprehension. "Yes, Daddy." In the dormitory, she was greeted by the bubbly Aisha, who quickly became her roommate and confidant. "This place looks posh, but don't let it fool you," Aisha said as she unpacked. "Some of the older students say Starlight has its secrets." Before Bisola could press further, the sharp ring of the school bell summoned them to the assembly hall. The stern principal, Akintoye, stood on the podium, his piercing eyes scanning the sea of students. "Welcome to Starlight Academy," he began, his voice as steady as a judge delivering a verdict. "Here, we uphold excellence, discipline, and tradition. You will leave this school with pride, or you will leave it with disgrace. The choice is yours." These words hung in the air long after the assembly ended, fueling Bisola's determination to make her mark. But as she settled into the routine of classes and chores, she began noticing peculiarities. A locked wing of the library, whispers of a tragic event in the past, and a group of senior students who seemed to carry an air of guarded secrecy. Little did she know she was about to stumble upon a discovery that would change her life and the school forever. The first week at Starlight Academy felt like a whirlwind for Bisola. Between early morning devotions, rigorous academic schedules, and evening prep sessions, she barely had time to catch her breath. Yet, her mind kept returning to what Aisha had said about the school's secrets. It wasn't until the third night, during evening prep, that Bisola's curiosity got the better of her. She sat in the sprawling library, working through her mathematics assignment with Aisha and two other girls from her dormitory, Ngozi and Zainab. The library was massive, its tall shelves stacked with dusty books that seemed older than the school itself. "This place is spooky," Zainab said, glancing around nervously. "I don't know how anyone can concentrate here." "You are just scared of the ghosts," Ngozi teased, flipping through her textbooks. Zainab gave her a glance. "I am not scared. I just think it is weird how part of the library is always locked up." Aisha perked up at that, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "The forgotten wing," she said in a hushed tune, as though uttering the words would summon something sinister. "I have heard stories about it. They say it has been locked for decades, ever since." "Since when?" Bisola asked, leaning forward. Aisha hesitated, then whispered, "Ever since a girl went missing there." The words sent a shiver down Bisola's spine. "Missing? What happened to her?" "No one knows," Aisha replied. "Some say she was a student who wandered into the wing and never came out. Others claim she found something in there, something the school didn't want anyone to know." "That's just nonsense," Ngozi said with a dismissive wave. "Probably just another silly ghost story." But Bisola wasn't so sure. As she stared at the locked double doors, at the far end of the library. A strange sense of unease settled over her. The doors were tall and imposing, their wood darkened with age, and a thick iron chain looped around the handles. "Why would they keep it locked if there's nothing in there?" Bisola asked quietly. No one had an answer. Later that night, as they walked back to the dormitory under the pale light of the moon, Bisola couldn't shake the feeling that the forgotten wing was more than just an abandoned part of the library, and she was determined to find out the truth. Bisola's curiosity about the forgotten wing deepened with each passing day. By the end of the week, it had become an obsession. Whenever she walked into the library, her eyes were drawn to the locked doors, and she found herself wondering what lay behind them. It wasn't long before she decided to take matters into her own hands. During lunch, she confided in Aisha about her plan. "You are crazy," Aisha said, her spoon paused midway to her mouth. "What if you get caught?" "I will be careful," Bisola insisted. "I just want to see what's inside. Don't you want to know the truth?" Aisha hesitated, then gave a sly grin. "Fine. But if we are doing this, we are doing it together." That evening, the two girls made their way back to the library under the guise of studying. While other students settled into prep, Bisola and Aisha crept towards the forgotten wing. "How do you plan to open it?" Aisha whispered. Bisola pulled a thin hairpin from her pocket and smiled. "I have been practicing, she said, thinking back to the YouTube tutorial she had watched over the holidays. They approached the doors cautiously. The iron chain looked sturdy, but the padlock appeared rusted and old. Bisola knelt and inserted the hairpin, wiggling it carefully. The minutes dragged on and beads of sweat formed on her forehead. "Hurry up," Aisha urged, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Finally, with a soft click, the padlock snapped open. Bisola grinned happily and removed the chain. The doors groaned as they swung open, revealing a dark, musty hallway lined with shelves. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and something else, something metallic. "Let's go," Bisola whispered, stepping inside. Aisha followed, her footsteps hesitant. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly. The dim light from their flashlights casted errant shadows. At the end of the hallway was a door marked with strange carvings. "What is this?" Aisha asked, running her hands over the symbols. Bisola shuddered. Only one way to find out. She pushed the door open. Inside, they found a small room filled with dusty books, ancient maps, and artifacts that looked like they belonged in a museum. But what caught their attention was a large cracked mirror leaning against the far wall. As Bisola approached the mirror, she felt a chill run down her spine. It was as though the mirror was watching her. And then she saw it, a faint shadow moving behind her reflection. Bisola froze, her eyes locked on the shadow in the mirror. It was faint but unmistakable, a figure standing just behind her, though when she turned around, no one was there. "Bisola, what is it?" Aisha asked, noticing her friend's pale face. "There's something in the mirror," Bisola whispered. Aisha stepped closer, her own reflection wavering in the cracked glass. She frowned. "I don't see anything." Bisola pointed. "There, right there." Aisha squinted but shook her head. "You are imagining things." But Bisola wasn't so sure. The shadow had felt real, almost alive. She reached out and touched the mirror's surface. It was cold, colder than it should have been. Suddenly, words began to form on the glass, scrawled as though by an invisible hand. "The past is not forgotten." Both girls screamed and stumbled back. The words lingered for a moment before fading away. "Let's get out of here," Aisha said, her voice trembling. Bisola hesitated, her eyes still on the mirror. Something about the message felt important. "Wait," she said. "What if this is a clue? Maybe it is connected to the girl who went missing." "I don't care," Aisha snapped. "This place is creepy. We need to leave before someone finds us." Reluctantly, Bisola nodded. They left the room, locked the door behind them, and replaced the chain on the main entrance. Back in their dormitory, neither girls could sleep. Bisola replayed the event in her mind, wondering what the mirror's message meant. She was certain now that the forgotten wing held more than just abandoned books, but unraveling its secrets would require courage and help. The next morning, Bisola woke up with a plan. If she and Aisha were going to uncover the truth, they couldn't do it alone. During breakfast, she approached Ngozi and Zainab, choosing her words carefully. "Do you guys believe in ghosts?" Ngozi raised an eyebrow. "Why? Did you see one?" "Maybe," Bisola said, lowering her voice, "but it is more than that. I think there's something strange going on in this school." Zainab leaned in, intrigued. "What do you mean?" Bisola glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then told them about the forgotten wing, the mirror, and the mysterious message. "You went in there?" Ngozi whispered, her eyes wide. "We did," Aisha confirmed, "and it was the scariest thing I have ever seen." Zainab frowned. "This doesn't make sense. Why would the school keep something like that hidden?" "That's what we need to find out," Bisola said. "But we cannot do it alone. Will you help us?" Ngozi hesitated, but Zainab nodded firmly. "I am in. If there's something dangerous in this school, we deserve to know." With their team assembled, the girls began brainstorming their next move. They decided to research the school's history, hoping to find clues about the forgotten wing and the missing girl. Their investigation led them to the archive, a dusty room filled with old records. For hours, they combed through stacks of papers until Ngozi gasped. "Look at this," she said, holding up an old newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Mystery at Starlight Academy. Student disappears without a trace." The article detailed the story of a girl named Morenike who had vanished decades ago. She was last seen in the library near the forgotten wing. "She was only 15, Zainab said softly. "And no one ever found her?" Bisola asked, her heart sinking. Ngozi shook her head. "No, but maybe we can." And girls stared at the article. A sense of determination settled over them. They had uncovered the first piece of puzzle, but the most dangerous secrets were still ahead. The girls went back into the library the next evening, their search fueled by the discovery of Morenike's disappearance. Aisha was visibly jittering, glancing at the forgotten wing every single second. "I still don't know why we are doing this," she whispered. "What if something happens to us?" "We will be fine," Bisola assured her, though her own heart raced with apprehension. This time, their search led them to a forgotten drawer near the librarian's desk. It was locked, but Zainab produced a small screwdriver she had smuggled in and pried it open. Inside was an old leather-bound journal, its cover worn and fragile. The name Morenike Olajide was written on the first page. "This must have been hers," Ngozi whispered, carefully opening the journal. The pages were filled with delicate handwriting, chronicling Morenike's days at the academy. At first, the entries were cheerful, detailing her love for reading and her dreams of becoming a writer. But as they read on, the tone grew darker. "They watched me," one entry said, "always from the shadows. I hear whispers at night, calling me to the mirror. What does that mean? Aisha asked, her voice trembling. The final entry sent chills down their spine. If you find this, beware of the mirror. It holds secrets that should never be unlocked. The girls exchanged uneasy glances. Morenike's words confirmed their fears. The mirror was at the center of something sinister, but Bisola was resolute. We need to go back, she said. We have to find out what happened to her. Determined to uncover the truth, the girls returned to the forgotten wing that night, armed with flashlights and a journal. They unlocked the door and ventured inside. The mirror loomed at the end of the corridor, its cracked surface reflecting their nervous faces. This time, Bisola approached it with confidence, clutching the journal tightly. What do we do now? Ngozi asked. Bisola hesitated, then touched the mirror's surface again. Morenike said it holds secrets, she murmured. Maybe it is some kind of doorway. The mirror began to glow faintly, its cracks shimmering like spider webs of light. Suddenly, the room grew colder and the air filled with a low hum. Before anyone could react, the mirror rippled like water and a gust of wind pulled Bisola through. The others screamed as she vanished into the glass. On the other side, Bisola found herself in a strange, shadowy world. The air was heavy and the ground felt soft under her feet. Whispers echoed all around her, disjointed and air. Bisola, Aisha's voice called, muffled and distant. I am here, she shouted back. Moments later, the others stumbled through the mirror, their eyes wide with fear. What is this place? Zainab asked, looking around. I think it is where Morenike disappeared, Bisola said. As they ventured deeper, they saw faint figures in the distance, shadows of people trapped and motionless. One of them resembled Morenike. As they approached Morenike's shadow, a chilling voice echoed through the air. Who dares disturb my domain? The girls froze as a towering figure emerged from the darkness. His form was shrouded in black mist, its eyes glowing like embers. I am the Shadow Keeper, it intoned. This is my realm, and you do not belong here. We are here to find Morenike, Bisola said, her voice shaking. The Shadow Keeper laughed, a sound that rattled their bones. She belongs to me now, as you will soon. Why are you doing this? Zainab demanded. She sought knowledge forbidden to her. The keeper replied, and now she pays the price. Bisola's mind raced. The Shadow Keeper was clearly powerful, but perhaps it had a weakness. What if we made a deal? She asked. The keeper tilted its head. What could you possibly offer me? Our freedom, Bisola said boldly. If we could solve your riddle, you let us and Morenike go. If we fail, you can keep us all. The others gasped, but the keeper seemed intrigued. Very well, it said, but beware, failure will mean eternal servitude. The keeper's riddle echoed in the air. I am not alive, but I grow. I do not breathe, but I need air. I am not in darkness, yet I cast a shadow. What am I? The girls huddled together, their minds racing. It's something that grows but isn't alive, Ngozi murmured. And it casts a shadow, Aisha added. Fire, Zainab said suddenly. The answer is fire. Bisola stepped forward. The answer is fire, she said confidently. The keeper's eyes blazed, but it nodded. You are correct, but the game is not over. A second riddle followed. The more of me you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Footsteps, Bisola said, her heart pounding. The keeper hissed, but nodded again. You are clever, it said. Very well, I will release Morenike, but know this. You have only scratched the surface of the secrets this place holds. The shadow keeper faded into the darkness, and the shadowy figures around them began to dissolve. Morenike's form grew solid, and she collapsed into Bisola's arms. You came for me, Bisola whispered, tears streaming down her face. We couldn't leave you behind, Bisola said. The mirror began to glow again, signaling their way back. One by one, the girls stepped through, dragging Morenike with them. When they emerged in the library, the mirror cracked further, its glow fading entirely. We did it, Aisha whispered. But Bisola wasn't so sure. The keeper's warning lingered in her mind, a reminder that the forgotten wing still holds secrets. In the days that followed, Morenike was reunited with her family, and the school quietly closed off the forgotten wing for good. The girls never spoke of their adventure again, but they carried its memory with them, a testament to their courage, friendship, and the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge. And though they tried to move on, they couldn't shake the feeling that the Shadow Keeper was still watching, waiting for its next challenger. I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, please check out the playlist above to enjoy more interesting stories.